Hey there, and welcome back to Leading You. Today's episode is a powerful one because I'm flipping the script on leadership and what that actually means. And I'm coming to you from Sydney today. And right beside me, I have this ginormous cruise ship, and I have a feeling it's going to take off while I'm recording this, but hopefully it doesn't. So here's the thing. Leadership is not about your job title. It's about how you show up every single day for your team, for your family, for your goals, and most importantly, for you. So in this episode, I'm sharing 3 things that make leaders stand out without shouting, and why self leadership is non negotiable, and how to stop playing small, even if you've been overlooked or underestimated. So you can lead from the front of the room, the back of the room, or no room at all. Leadership is personal before it is professional. So if you think about it, you might have recognized this within your workplace. You know, the quiet team member who checks in on everyone and who proactively does things that support the culture without being asked. Or a parent who you observe who's playing a really strong role model for their child. And it might even be yourself and how you have operated in a way that reflects strong leadership. Or perhaps you really notice times that you haven't. There's a great quote by Robin Sharma, and that is, leadership is not about title or as a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. Titles do not inspire people. Your presence does. So let's talk about the fact that leadership is a choice. It's not a status. You don't earn the right to lead just because someone gives you a title or you've studied a degree. You earn it by how you behave, by the choices you make, by how you treat others, and how you hold yourself accountable. Leadership starts with self-leadership, and we are all leaders, regardless of title. So every decision you make, every choice you make, every action you make is reinforcing or eroding the trust that people have in you. You manage things, you lead people, which is a great quote by the Rear Admiral Grace Hopper. Now, thinking about the workplace, 34% of people say that the workplace leader is the most influential person in their life. Now, to me, that's a really low statistic, given how many hours people spend in the workplace. So if I was a leader in a workplace, a leader in an organization, I'd be thinking, how can I get that statistic increased with my team? How can I be one of the most influential people in their lives? Because they're spending a lot of time with me. And I know when I worked in corporate and I was working for some incredible leaders, they had a huge impact on my life in terms of how I lead, what I wanted to do, and sometimes what I didn't want to do. So when we're thinking about that and how we can be really influential, leadership is a daily practice. It's not a position. And it's about what you do when people are not looking, and what you do when you go through challenge, or when you're frustrated, or when you're confronted. It's not always about what you do in front of others. It's about what you do when you're not in front of people as well. It's about who you are inside and the integrity that you have. Leadership isn't what you say. People often think if they say incredible things, or, deliver this incredible talk, or, tell their people about this vision that they've got for the company, that really makes, really great leadership, and people are so inspired. It's what happens after the words that you speak. It's the action that you take. It's how you make people feel. It's how people feel and what they experience when you walk in the room and after you have left that room. It's not what you do, it's how you make people feel. And leaders who have really strong self-awareness and presence and integrity are what people remember, not your job title. So quite often, I see leaders who are really, come in all guns blazing. They're very charismatic, and they're quite blasé in terms of how they talk to people and in terms of what they say. But it's a whole lot of hot air that can come out of their mouth because they're not walking their talk. What they say isn't what they do, and that can create a complete lack of trust and incongruence between your words and your actions. So let me ask you this. If I stripped away your title, your salary, your corner office, how would you still lead? And would you? Now, what I want to share with you now are 3 ways that leaders can stand out. And it comes down to the 3 C's. It's about clarity, it's about consistency, and it's about courage. So let me dive into these. Number 1 is clarity. Clarity is so incredibly important. When you're clear, when you have clarity on who you are, what you stand for, and what your values are, you can anchor to this. It's like if you think of a tree and the roots of the tree, that's, deeply rooted into the ground in terms of who you are, what you stand for, and what your values are. And this can hold you firm in times of challenge, in times of confrontation, and in times of change, when things get difficult. And that might be on a large scale or a relatively small scale. But those who are really clear on this have that really solid foundation from which they lead from, who have clarity around their priorities and the kind of leader that they want to be, make really strong leaders. Clarity also gives confidence to you and the people that you are leading. And without it, you're often reacting rather than leading. I always talk to my clients about having really strong, crystal clear clarity around this. And it not only gives you confidence, but it also creates motivation for you to keep on going, to keep on striving, to be that leader that you're wanting to be. And as John Wooden famously said, the most powerful leadership tool is the example of yourself, is your own example. And I love that quote. I love everything about John Wooden. So I think that clarity is the number 1. The second is consistency. And consistency is something that has really worked for me around so many things. And this is something that I see a lot of leaders lack, a lot of entrepreneurs lack. It's doing the hard yards consistently. And also, it's the simple things done consistently well that can make the biggest difference to your leadership, to your business, to your career. So consistency, this is about how you show up on the good days and the harder ones. There's a really great statistic in terms of 70% of the variance in team engagement is attributed to the manager or to the leader, and that's from Gallup. So the way you show up really influences how others feel. And this is where we go back to clarity. So someone who is crystal clear on who they are and what they stand for, they have more of a tendency to show up consistently every day. I don't know if you have ever experienced a leader who is up and down like a roller coaster. I certainly have. And it's really discerning. It's really alarming because when you walk into your workplace each day, or when you're going to be catching up with this particular person, you don't know what version of them you're going to get. So it's a bit like Jekyll and Hyde. I had a leader who was wonderful, incredibly inspiring one day, and sometimes the same day, but the next, they're completely different. It's like this dark, cloud has shrouded them, and they're moody, they're snappy. It's just like, what the hell is going on here? So the consistency in who you are, in how you behave, in walking your talk, in doing what you say you're going to do makes an enormous difference in terms of how people experience you. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is courage. And this is one of my top 3 priorities is courage. And courage, it really takes guts to stand out as a leader. There is so much beige in our leadership space. And a great example of this is if you look at our political arena. There's so much beige. They all operate the same. They say things to get votes. They don't want to make the hard calls. One says white, the other one says black. It's just boring, vanilla, beige leadership. And it's incredibly annoying. So for a leader to stand out, for them to have the courage to speak up and say what needs to be said rather than what people want them to say, to be able to challenge the norm, to be able to challenge that status quo, to be relevant, and to say no when everyone else is saying yes, that takes courage, especially as a leader. And one thing I think that leaders really need to strive for is to be respected rather than liked. And that takes courage. As humans, we all want to be liked. We all want to, be in favor with people, but leaders can't be that way. That's not what their role is. Their role is to make difficult decisions that are not going to please everyone. So they need to really channel courage to speak up, to speak out, to make the hard decision, even though it's going to go against popularity stakes. So courageous leaders, they don't need to be loud, but they need to be real and they need to be great communicators. So if they are making a hard call, that they explain why they're making that hard call. People don't follow titles, they follow courage. People find that incredibly inspiring. And you might think of, someone who's really courageous in your own world where they have said what's needed to be said. Someone who has spoken up in a meeting, who has put themselves forward and maybe put themselves out there at the risk of being shot down. That's courage, as long as it's done with integrity, of course. So they're the 3 C's that I would say in terms of making sure that you are standing out with integrity as a leader. And there's a real cost to playing small. When you hide behind a title or wait for permission to lead, you miss opportunities. You shrink your impact. Now, I know I have done this in my own life and in my own career where I haven't put myself forward. I haven't stepped forward to actually lead before I was asked to. And I certainly did pay the price for that. Maybe you have done that too, where you know you want to be proactive in a certain area, or you know you want to put yourself forward, or you know you just want to take the lead, whether it be in a project or whether it be in your workplace or in your life, or even leading a culture initiative within the workplace. But maybe you didn't because you didn't consider yourself ready, or you thought someone else might, or you thought you might step on someone else's toes. I speak to so many people who feel that they are ready to lead, who feel that they are ready to make an impact, but they hold themselves back for fear of what other people are going to say, or for fear of retribution, or whatever else that might be. But if you hold yourself back, that is playing small. And we don't want to play small. Life is way too short to play small. We want to play big. We want to put ourselves forward and, hey, let's beg for forgiveness later if that wasn't the right thing. But at least you have shown initiative. The leaders who stand out are the ones who step forward even when it's uncomfortable. I'm really passionate about this because I really feel that now is the time for leaders to stand out and to make an impact. I feel that there is such a great opportunity now for leaders to make the impact, that they want to make, and also to create the ripple effect of change that they want to see in this world. We are all empowered to do that. We can all create change within our own sphere. We don't need a title. We don't need a sandbox to stand on. We just need to lead ourselves forward. So, in conclusion, this is about being the leader that other people want to follow in your life, in your workplace, in your community, whatever that looks like for you. If you want to stand out as a leader, it's actually not that hard. It's not about having the most impressive resume or a title at all. It is about how you show up. That is what people will remember, and that is what people will follow. In the most recent research by Gallup, hope is the number one need from leaders. It is the number one need that people have of leaders. 56% of people associate influential leadership with giving hope. And hope isn't about being loud. It's about being steady. It's about being grounded. It's about being anchored, and it's about being personal. And it's about how you communicate. So how are you showing up today? What do people experience when they interact with you? Because here's what I want you to remember. Leadership is presence. It is not position. It's not something you're given. It is something that you choose every single day. So if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is showing up as a leader in their own way, title or no title. And if you're ready to take your own self-leadership to the next level, come and connect with me. Let's make sure you're leading a life and career that you are proud of. So thank you for listening. Keep leading, keep choosing, and I'll see you next time on Leading You.